Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she's not the boss? For starters, my male 41 wife, female 39, have been together 16 years. When she met me, I was at the height of my business and starting to go up from there. Even during the pandemic, my business is still booming. I had my own house that I lived in by myself, a couple cars and a cottage, although that is unrelated. I own my own factory refurbishing various re-engineered equipment, mostly HVAC stuff. About 3 years after we got married, she decided she had enough of working odd jobs and making not so great money at it, so she expressed she wanted to be a sow. I had no problem with this. We don't have kids and don't plan on having any, so I saw this as a win-win as she got to stay home and I came home to a nice house. After 3 years of this, she was tired of being a sow and wanted to rejoin the workforce. Since she could really only find odd jobs, I suggested she work at my shop. I pretty much created a job for her doing small admin stuff, nothing crazy as I used to do all this myself plus work on the floor, but this took a load off my shoulders. Obviously she got paid a healthy wage for her work, and I hired a cleaner to come in once a week to help us clean and maintain the house. On to the problem. One of my workers accidentally ordered 20 of one part instead of 2. This was a bit of a big deal as now instead of being out a few $100s I'm now out thousands. While I wasn't royally pissed off, this did put a large dent in my overhead, so I had to offload these parts. Barely made my money back, but that's beside the point. My wife, however, found out and absolutely berated this poor guy. I've had this guy work for me for over 10 years and his work is solid. He's a hardworking man, 2 kids, another on the way, and he's become my go-to guy for almost anything. I didn't hear any of the situation until I heard screaming from my wife that she was going to fire him and he cost her hours of rework and budgeting, etc. This is simply not true, as 2 phone calls and some editing on our books and everything would be right as rain, tops a 1-hour affair. She and he finally filled me in and I told her to leave the room so I could talk to him. She refused. I asked again and once again she refused. I asked one more time and my worker was on the verge of tears and I yelled at her and told her, "You're not the boss, I am. I make these decisions, now leave." I talked it over with him. We made amends as it was an honest mistake and he hasn't had a screw up like this since he started, so I'm not concerned about it happening again. My wife was livid and after yelling about his screw up has refused to talk to me. I'm clearly in the doghouse here, but I refuse to think I did anything wrong as she was, in my opinion, being needlessly unreasonable and on a power trip. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my sister's rent to my parents? Hi all. Posting on a throwaway because my sister is on Reddit. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my sister's rent, which my parents are charging her? This probably could do with some context backstory, so here we go. I, 19 male, have a stepsister, 18 female. For clarity, my bio parents got divorced when I was very young, so I never knew my real dad, and my stepsister is my stepdad's daughter from a previous marriage. I've never really faced abuse so much, but I've always known my stepsister was the favorite with my parents. Just little things like when I was young and had birthdays, she always had to have presents and a fair share of the attention, while the reverse was never the case on her birthday. When I was 14, I got a paper round to earn a bit of pocket money. My parents forced me to give my sister half of that money. The same was true when I was 16 and got a Saturday job at Burger King. Using my share of my pay from that I saved up and bought myself a laptop to do school work on. When my stepdad found out, he made me share that with stepsister too. True to form, she managed to delete all my schoolwork including my A-level coursework. Then when I confronted her about it, she smashed the laptop on the floor. By this point I had also turned 18 and my parents decided that, since I was 18 and working, I needed to pay rent, which I did for about 6 months before I decided to move into a flat shared with some friends. So partially because of the aforementioned laptop incident, I missed out on the grades I needed to go to my chosen university, so I'm having to resit a couple of subjects while working full-time. That's okay, I can manage that now I'm out of the madhouse, but last weekend I got a phone call from mum. She and stepdad have decided that, since they started charging me rent when I turned 18 and stepsister has just turned 18, it's only fair that they charge her rent too. The kicker? Because she hasn't got a job, has never had a job, and isn't even looking for one, they think that it would be a nice and brotherly thing for me to help her pay, i.e., pay them rent on her behalf. I told them no, since I don't see why I should be responsible for yet more expenses on her behalf. Plus I'm already paying my own rent, utilities and council tax. I don't have a huge amount of spare money to afford that. Things didn't get nasty or heated on the phone at the time, but now I have uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents etc. blowing up my phone and my Facebook calling me a horrible son and ungrateful for not stepping up to help out. So, am I the a-hole here? Am I the a-hole for not cooking after everyone insulted what I was making? I'm 17, female, the oldest of 5. Ever since COVID my parents have left me in charge at home and have me cooking dinner most nights, 6 to 7 to be exact. My siblings and I are going to school virtually, so we're in the house together all day. Although they're going out to friends more now. There were always complaints about the food I was cooking: don't want pasta, no rice, why more chicken, used up too many groceries for one dish. But lately it has been bugging me more. I made pizza one night. I did a regular pizza because I was tired of complaints about the choices I was making. But even that wasn't good enough. My siblings all wanted more cheese and said it was crappy. Siblings are 15 male, 14 male, 12 female, 10 female. My dad wanted pineapple and ham on his pizza. My mom said pizza wasn't what she wanted to come home to on a Wednesday afternoon. I said nothing. I didn't even show I was frustrated. But the next day I didn't make them anything. I made myself some spicy chicken noodles. Had it all cleaned up and everything before anyone got home, and then everyone was home, and they were hungry and complaining, and then my parents exploded because they said I was being petty and rude and they threatened to ground me because I didn't do all my chores. I told them they should have thought about that before shitting all over everything, and I was doing more than enough, and why ground me when I never leave the house anyway. I'm basically a live-in nanny at this point, and I get treated worse than they would treat a paid nanny. They said it was a wrong move to let them go without food. Especially my siblings. I guess I can see why that would be an move, but honestly, they should be more appreciative too. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for refusing to give birth in husband's home country? Background: husband and I met in US when he was here on a visa. I got my passport, we each traveled to and from each other's countries to visit, meet family, and got married. He's from Mexico, I'm from US. We didn't plan on having children this soon, but my body started rejecting the birth control I was on, and while we were switching that up, I got pregnant. We're both over the moon excited, and I'm a little over 4 months now. All is well, but lately he's been pushing me to go to Mexico for the birth. My husband's plan is basically that we take a trip when I'm 38 weeks, about 8.5 months, and just wait for me to go into labor. His cousin is an OB, so we would go to her hospital to deliver. His family could be present. My family can get passports and travel to Mexico much easier than his family can get visas and travel to America. I pointed out that my family would just have to wait for me to go into labor to buy plane tickets or wait around in Mexico for a few weeks for me to go into labor, and he didn't see an issue. When he first brought it up, he said it was because the cost would be so much cheaper, but so far insurance has covered all of my visits and will likely cover most of the birth. The uncovered portion will probably be the same as paying out of pocket in Mexico. The next time he brought it up, he said it was because our child could be a dual citizen. I pointed out then that he wouldn't have to be born in Mexico to be a dual citizen if his parent is a citizen. Third time he brought it up, he said it was unfair that his family couldn't be in the US for the birth, but that mine could. And I do realize that having the baby in Mexico would make it easier for both families to come together for the birth, but the main problem is that I really want to be in control of my labor and delivery. I've already searched around for the hospital that will be most supportive of the birth I have envisioned, and I really like my OB. I've discussed what I am and am not comfortable with, medical intervention, etc. I don't want to deliver in a hospital that I've never been to with a doctor who does not speak English. I've taken Spanish courses in an effort to be able to talk to his family more, but I'm not fluent enough to be able to understand medical jargon or to feel comfortable trying to tell her and nurses what I do or don't want. My husband is very upset and says that it is his baby too, and he should get a say in how where he is born. I feel a little differently since it is very much me who is going through the experience of labor and delivery until I'm holding our son in my arms. My body that will be stuck, poked, examined, and exposed. I just want to be as comfortable as possible while all of this is happening, but he thinks I am being selfish and inconsiderate of his family. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to have my baby in Mexico? Edit: I talked to husband using a lot of the information here and now he's totally fine and on board with a US birth. He hadn't considered the possibility of anything going wrong, only everything going right, and he hadn't considered the time to get a passport and file everything, etc. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to talk about my wedding plans with my friend anymore because she keeps stealing them? I recently got engaged to my boyfriend of almost 3 years. We are hoping to get married fall of next year, so we have started some wedding planning. I have a friend, F, who also got engaged a couple months ago. We have been friends since high school, and we're semi-close as far as that goes. Anyways, for the longest time she wasn't doing any wedding planning. However, now that I am engaged too and have started my wedding planning, she seems to have started as well. Not sure why she wasn't until now. At first, we talked about simple things. She's super indecisive, and I have a pretty good idea of what I want. She plans to get married next summer, so she will marry before me, if it goes with her plans. I didn't mind talking to her at first. We have very different styles, and so we didn't really match up with anything as far as planning goes. However, now that we're more into it, she seems to copy every idea I have. For example, I am touring venues this weekend. She had no interest in the types of venues I am touring until I started actually wanting to go to them. When I told her my top choice of the venues, now she is planning to book that for herself. Same goes for photographers, caterers, decor, dresses, etc. Literally every wedding planning she has either copied me, plans to copy me, or semi-alters my idea to make it seem like she isn't. Now I'm not trying to gatekeep my wedding by any means. I don't mind to have some of the same things going on, but at this rate her entire wedding will be just like I am planning, and she is getting married before me, so it will come off as I am copying her, which isn't the case. She basically lets me do all the research for things, then asks me the questions about them, waits until I make a decision, then makes the same decision as me. It's like she knows she's getting married first anyways, so she technically won't be copying anyone if she does it first. So, I have stopped talking to her about my wedding planning. At first, I brushed her off like, oh, I haven't looked into that yet, or I'm waiting to plan that, just so I didn't have to give any details on things. However, she has figured out something is up and is calling me in a hole for shutting her out of my wedding planning. In reality, I think she's just mad I'm not giving her any more details. Am I the a-hole here? I don't want to come off as a Britazilla. And if it were just a couple things like using the same photographer or caterer, or just stuff that doesn't matter behind the scenes, I wouldn't care at all, but so far, she's using the same florist, same flowers also, venue, color scheme, decor, etc.